Over the last decade or so, there have been a few things I've experimented with removing from my breakfast or breakfast that have completely changed my body. I was able to improve my workout recovery, reduce bloating, and feel less hungry between meals by removing some of these items. So today I'm sharing 5 breakfasts that I stopped eating to help me feel more satisfied, reduce bloating, and actually see results from my workouts. Let's dive into it. My name's Autumn. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's nutrition human performance, and today's video is sponsored by Element. More on them in a bit. Okay, the first is coconut yogurt. Now I ate this a lot in college. I would have coconut yogurt with like dried mulberries on top. I would have maca powder stirred in. I would put like goji berries and pumpkin seeds. Overall, a lot of good, healthy ingredients. It's not that this meal was inherently bad or that the coconut yogurt was inherently bad, but it was just completely absent of protein. And unfortunately, with pretty much all of the dairy-free alternative yogurts, the same can be said. One caveat is Kite Hill's Greek style yogurt, which does contain protein. So when I was starting off my day with this coconut yogurt bowl, I was already in a protein deficit. And at the time I was eating this a lot, I was training for the marathon, and my muscle recovery needs are already pretty high. And by not getting any complete protein with that first meal, I noticed that I lost quite a bit of muscle and I was constantly hungry. I then made the switch from coconut yogurt to Greek yogurt or skyr, which are both naturally very high in protein. And that has made all the difference with my recovery and actually feeling satisfied from my meals. Now, like I mentioned, there are plant-based options now that do have added protein in there. You just really actively need to seek that out if you're using a plant-based yogurt. Okay, the second is cereal. Growing up, I loved cereal. Even though I was only allowed to have grape nuts, which honestly just tastes like mushy cardboard, I still loved it. And when I was training for the marathon over 10 years ago, the typical nutrition advice at the time was that I could have cereal for breakfast because it was really high in carbs and helped fuel my run, which obviously I was stoked about. So I was having healthier cereals, nothing that really had too much added sugar, because even then at that time I was still aware, or at least trying to be aware of my nutrition intake. Just like the yogurt, cereal is completely absent of protein. Plus, it's really highly processed and as a result, really high glycemic load, especially because nobody is eating that recommended serving size. Most people, myself included at the time, are eating like 2 to 3 times that amount. So the cereal was making me feel really bloated. I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted from my workouts, but I was constantly hungry again because I was not getting the protein with this meal. Now, this is one I'm still trying to figure out a good equivalent swap for. Like I have figured out swaps for waffles, which I also loved, and I make protein waffles now. So good. So once I find an equivalent swap, I'll let you guys know. Now, before we move on to the third item, I want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Element. Element is an amazing electrolyte company that was specifically created with lower carb eating, intermittent fasting, and athletes in mind. Especially if you're focused on eating more whole foods that are inherently going to be less processed, you're probably not getting enough electrolytes. And for myself personally, sticking to mostly minimally processed foods while also exercising, getting enough electrolytes has been a game changer for me. I've been using Element for over 2 years now. I love them. Whenever I'm actually hydrating with Element, I feel so much more energized and I don't get that mid-afternoon crash around 3 p.m. I love that Element is 0 sugar and comes in so many delicious flavors, but personally, my favorite is the grapefruit salt. It is so good and so refreshing, but they also have other flavors like the orange or raspberry, or if you want to keep it simple, you can always use their unflavored option as well. I bring Element with me everywhere I go, whenever I travel, so I can always make sure that I'm hydrated. And right now, Element is offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single-serve packets free with any Element order. It's a really great way to test out all 8 flavors, so you can get yours at drinkelement.com/autumn. It is only available through my link, so make sure to check out drinklmnt.com/autumn. I'll also have the link down in the description below. Okay, the third meal is oatmeal. This is one that when I was younger, my mom tried to get me to eat more of. And when I was younger, I just did not like oatmeal. But it's not because I didn't like the taste of oatmeal. I actually kind of like the taste of it, but I would always feel literally like almost immediately so hungry, which is crazy because this is something that I noticed even in elementary school. So it was a very apparent difference when I would have oatmeal versus other foods on how much it would make me feel hungry. Regardless of if you're looking to achieve a weight loss goal or not, feeling hungry is probably not going to help support most goals. Plus, oatmeal naturally contains 0 complete protein. There are some people who are more active who can use oatmeal if they strategically add in high quality proteins, fats, and fiber. But for myself and for a lot of people, oatmeal can tend to just cause blood sugar spike and fall and result in a lot of hunger. So So I make a grain-free, more satisfying, more satiating swap instead. I've shared multiple different recipe variations of this. Check out one of them with the link right up here. Okay, the fourth are low protein fruit smoothies. It was back senior year of high school when I first started to get really interested in nutrition. At this time, I was also training for my first triathlon, and I remember stumbling across a smoothie recipe in a magazine. And because I was trying to eat healthier, I started to have this a lot. I don't remember the specific recipe, but the smoothie recipe was like orange juice as the base. Actually, I think it's specifically called for tangerine juice, regular yogurt, honey, banana, and I think wheat germ. It tasted great, and it was at least a little bit better than some of the breakfast items I was having because yogurt does have some protein in it, but it was still really high in sugar and still relatively low in protein for what my body really needed. And because it was higher in sugar, I would get some energy immediately and then feel hungry within like 2 hours or so because of a blood sugar crash. Now, as you guys know, I make smoothies still to this day. I love smoothies, but I make sure that they are lower sugar smoothies with high amounts of high quality protein. These help to support my body recomposition goals, especially recently with my 20-pound weight loss journey, and really help to prevent hunger. But the fifth thing I used to have for breakfast was muffins. Now, when I was very young, it was all about the Costco muffins. I remember my mom would get like that big tray of them, and my whole family would fight over who could eat just like the top of the muffins because that was the best part. But then in high school and in college, I wanted to make healthier muffin options. So I started to make muffins with almond flour and coconut flour and oat flour. So they were less processed muffins, which is a huge step in the right direction at the very least. But just like with everything else in this list, it was still very low, if not absent in protein. It was much lower glycemic load, so I had a little bit more satiety from it than I would from like other more processed flour-based muffins. Having muffins for breakfast still led me to need to have some sort of snack in between meals. And this was when I was really suffering from a lot of bloating. When we snack, it shuts off the gut cleaning process called the migrating motor complex. So we're not able to get full cleaning of the GI tract, which could lead to fermentation and bloating and gas. So even though I was making a healthier option, having those muffins as my breakfast still encouraged me to snack and therefore have issues with bloating, not to mention the lack of protein. So I will occasionally still have some of these healthier muffin options, but I don't view it as like the meal itself. It's more of an add-on to whatever higher protein meal I'm having. Now, if you want to check out some of my favorite high protein breakfast options, you can find it with this video next. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love this science-backed information, make sure you subscribe right here. Come out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.